Good morning. I finally got a day off after 2 weeks. It's better than 3, like the last time. Yeah, I really just kind of discovered the way, what really makes you faster. I mean, obviously, if you're starting out, you don't know the route, and you're worried about time, don't worry about it, because you'll remember the loops. And once you do that, you'll get faster, because then you know what the loops are, and then you know where you're going eventually. That in and of itself, you'll get better. However, I've kind of discovered what happened was there was a light day of mail, right? Really super light on the RSS. The RSS, for those who don't know, is the big flats, and it comes in order in a yellow tray. Now, some supervisors will not allow you to case that in the case that you pull down, bind together in loops, and then have it as your second tray to go out. Some do. Different managers, different supervisors will allow different things depending on the office, So it's not like you deal with one supervisor, they're not all the same. Like the last supervisor we had didn't allow us to case the RSS. The one prior to that one did. And the current one does allow. So what I was doing with the supervisor that didn't allow it, I would merge it in at the beginning of the loop. That's just what I would do. So yeah, getting onto my topic here. Yeah, it was really light. So what I did was I put the flats in with the DPS. The DPS is sequenced to the order of the case, and I put it all into one. And I'm like, man, this is pretty smooth. I'm just holding it in one hand. And I'm thinking, geez, if it is too thick, then I could just have it like this. Why don't I just do it that way rather than with 2 bundles? And so the next day I'm on the route, regular deep FSS, regular DPS, and I put it all together in one. I literally improved by an hour and a half. I'm like, wow. It's just, you feel better when you're walking around. You feel like it's just a better way to hold the mail. I mean, you're walking around better. And not only that, you have all the addresses in one area. So if you're ever in a situation where, like, hey, I'd rather just deliver this right here, you can. All you have to do is just quickly figure it out. And it's really relatively quick. It's not that time consuming. So yeah, sometimes merging the flats in with the DPS takes a little bit of time at the beginning of the loop, but I think you're so much faster walking the loop that you're saving the time. You're faster. I mean, geez. Not only that, you can create your own loops. I mean, obviously, you're not supposed to. And I guess if you're delivering mail out of sequence at a high enough percentage, the supervisor gets an email notification, I guess, from the system that detects that you're not. So you got to be careful about that. I haven't gotten in trouble yet because I don't like do the whole route out of order. Okay, it's kind of sparing that I'll do it. There's this one loop that's a long route loop that I dismount. Not every single house, but I will break it up into 3 loops instead of one long loop. And I can easily do it by just doing 4 on the left and then coming back down the right and then driving forward all the way up the hill, and it seems to be faster. Um, so sometimes, I mean, I don't do it all the time. It's not like I'm making my own loops over the whole route. So I think I'm doing it small enough to where the supervisors aren't getting the notification, I think. And sometimes if you hop a package on your way to the park point, that could be out of sequence too, because obviously you have big packages that you can't carry with you. So you don't want to do it too much because you're supposed to do it in sequence. And then I guess what they can do is they'll follow you on your route and make sure you're doing it right. And that goes, I guess, too, for park points. You're supposed to park where you're supposed to park. I'm parked pretty close. I'm like 5 yards away, and the regular is like, well, you're supposed to park here. Well, I'm like 5 yards away. And what's the point? Splitting hairs, you know? So, yeah, the single bundle, it's just really good. I like it. You're walking around freer. It's the way to do it. The single bundle. It's like what I'm talking about here is this is basically it right here. Yeah, just hold it like that. Or if it's too big, you can hold it in your arm. Or what you can do is you can bind whatever you can't hold and put it in your satchel. Then when you run out of your hand, you just grab what's in your satchel. So single bundle is just freaking, it's good. It'll make you faster. It's quicker when you're fingering the mail. So I'm literally not spending more than two seconds at a mailbox. Well, this route, everybody hates this route that I'm on. But I like it. The reason why I like it, because I like to walk. And it's a long route. It's one of the longest routes in the office. But also, each resident, it's a single mailbox to a single house. And that's what I like about it. It makes it better. When you're in a residential that has just one box to the house, it's faster because there's some routes that have multiple boxes not marked. It's a pain in the ass, and it takes time to wonder which one belongs to which. So yeah, it's single bundle. You can make a mistake on the loop if you're reading the DPS, and not a big deal because you have it all together. So even if you're out of order a little bit, it's not the biggest deal in the world because it's quicker to be able to finger through to find the address, even if you might be confused. So, I mean, it's just single bundle. Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm faster on that route than the regular is on that route, and he's been on it for 20 years. I mean, obviously, and I'm not running the route, okay? I'm not running. It's just it's good, man. It's smooth. Yesterday we had an EDDM, every door direct mail little card from the post office for the food drive. I merged a lot of those in. I put them in with the DPS. And then whatever wasn't in the DPS, I had them in my satchel. So then I just grabbed. So it made it easier. So yeah, single bundling it just really, really makes it awesome. You're walking around freer. It's faster. It's awesome. Even if you have to hold it with both hands or you carry it like this, it's just good. And what I do is I'll put the magazine at the ends. So therefore, kind of like your flats are at the end of the address. So it's easy to grab the finger because you know that you put the flat at the end of the address. So it kind of divides each address that way too, putting the big at the end of it. So it's just, you're really walking around freer. You're walking around faster. It feels better. a single bundle. I mean, it's good. Um, the new managers at the office, they're the ones that are out there watching everybody. Before, we didn't really have that. Now we have to definitely be a little bit paranoid. They're keeping track of how long people are taking on lunch, and all that kind of stuff, making sure, they're out there watching you. Um, I think there was an accident that happened with an employee out there on the street. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's possible because of that accident that the district, with the new management, told them um, to watch us, to go out there and observe. Um, People at the office thought that I was the one being picked on for it, and they thought it was just me. But I'm like, no, I don't think so. The OIC said that they were watching everybody. Not that I was saying that. So I mean, yeah. So just always curb your wheels, wear your seatbelt, lock, because you don't know who's watching, and they're watching. Sometimes you have that type of management. Um, So yeah, wear your seatbelt. It's that one time you don't that you get caught, So I'm a person that regularly does that. You know what I mean? So I was surprised when I allegedly got caught for not curbing my wheels. I'm like, I don't know, man, but it's possible. So I always just keep aware of it. Um, it's possible that you make a mistake, and it's not like you plan on not doing it. So. So I guess technically I could get in trouble for single bundling the mail. You're supposed to have your flats on your arm like this, and then have your DPS in your hand. But the single bundle is good. I don't care. I mean, you really gonna fire me? I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm faster. I mean, my manager is the type. He's what I call the track coach manager. It's all about speed. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's all about speed. Um, then you got the cop manager. You got the asshole manager. Then you got the laid back manager. I mean, there's a varying different types of management that you'll run into at the post office. Anal managers that are all about friggin' you cannot collate the FSS, man. When you're out on the street, you do not merge your FSS in with your papers. I like having my spurs in my satchel. I don't want my satchel to be filled with papers because I like putting my spurs in my satchel. And then I'll either merge the FSS or keep the papers underneath the FSS, grab the FSS, and then that's a possibility. I like doing it that way. I don't really care for putting the spurs in with the flats unless they're super flat. I just like having really, really flat stuff. And that's the reason why I can single bundle. It's because I don't have any of the spurs in there. Some people that I've gone to help offices and they'll put pill bottle spurs in there. I hate that. Because now it's slippery and it's like, God damn it, man. I'm going to spill all the freaking mail all over the place because I got a freaking bottle here. I like putting that into the satchel. Also, I still use load truck feature, even though I know the loops, because it's helpful. I have a green check mark on the page, on the package look ahead, so I know I have it. Instead of having it in zones, I use the sequence number, and that puts it in order to the case. So then I have all my spurs in the front. So all my small stuff, I'm operating out of the front, and then all my big stuff, I take from the back. So I have my truck in order from package per delivery, all in order from the get-go. But instead of having it in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, I do it in sequence by row, 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 row in straight lines. I find that it's quicker to load the vehicle that way. I have a straight line like this, and they're all in order. And then I have my next row of packages that are in order. I just find it that way better. And I put the sequence number on the label. So I find that to be faster on certain routes that I know, like the last 2 streets I'm going to put on the shelf up here. I have an apartment complex and a hub. Okay, I'm going to put all of them on my shelf up here. So I know that they're all together. And then I have the main area here. I find it quicker. And then I put all my spurs in trays in order, just like my flats. So my spurs are in a tray, just like I would put my flats. So then I have my DPS here, my flats here, and then spurs here. And then the other spurs and trays I have below. And then in my shelf close to the cab, I put my outgoing mail here and whatever I can't deliver, vacants and whatever here. It is good to have a tray that has dividers, so you can put your vacants in one, you can put your missed sorts in the next. So then when you get back to the office, you're not reorganizing it. Then you can save some time. So then when I'm out on the streets, I don't have to look for any packages. And I can just look at the package, look ahead, and I see what's next. And so now I'm just delivering the mail, and I'm single bundling it, and I'm delivering like 120 packages a day, 2 hampers. This route is the second most heaviest package route of the office. And I'm getting it done just as fast as the people with shorter ones. So when I'm on a different route, when it only has 1 hamper of packages, it's a freaking easy day because I'm so used to having 2 hampers when so many other routes only have 1. So it's really freaking smooth when I'm not a T6, but I'm in a way, I'm kind of a T6 that's not getting paid because I now know all the routes in the office because I'm in a small office. I'm in a country town, a town on a hill. The Appalachian Trail goes through it. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, real cold in the wintertime. Oh, Jesus, 5 degrees. It's freaking freezing, man, up there. It's like 15 degrees colder than where I live here. So everyone around here, it's like, oh yeah, it was a moderate winter. Yeah, here, but up there, it was freaking freezing, and there was snow up there. Yeah, it's freaking cold up there. So yeah, that was just. Now it's perfect weather. It's nice. This is the time of year for sure. Up there, it feels good. I have a sunburn on my arm. So yeah, and it's a hill. It's a city on a hill, man. It's freaking hills, but it's good because keeps me physically fit. Walking the hills pretty good. Don't have a problem. I wear my Timberlands. My Timberlands are good. I like the Timberlands. They're lasting. They seem to last longer than the post office shoes, and those things are freaking like $300 a pair. That's insane. I'm paying $100 for my Timberlands, and they last longer. I mean, I guess that's another thing. Oh, just because they're taking advantage of the fact that you have to buy the post office stuff, and they're charging crazy amount of money for uniform stuff, man. Pair of shoes for $300. That's almost the same price as a pair of Yeezys, for God's sakes. I mean, it's not that they last any longer. I mean, it's crazy the cost of the uniforms. Even with the allowance, I mean, you're paying a lot of money. The allowance, it's just not right how they allow them to charge that kind of money for, I don't know, man, it's expensive. It's freaking nuts. That 500 or $600 they give you, yeah, it'll cover maybe your coat, and that's it. So when you want to get the whole get up, um, yeah, you're going to spend a lot of money. It's so most post offices won't give you shit for a while about your clothes. I mean, of course, your shoes have to be waterproof. They have to be black and leather. They'll be strict about that. But if they're not the green ones, they'll let that slide when you're new because they understand that you're not rich, you're not made of money. Um, you don't have that kind of money to burn. You know what I mean? Because you got bills to pay. I mean, it's common sense. You got bills to pay. You just don't have that kind of money, so it's expensive. So yeah, I just lost track of my mind here a little bit. So yeah, that's keeping the truck organized. Yeah, what I do is I will case what I can if I'm still waiting for them to scan packages. At some offices, their stuff is ready for them at 7 in the morning. Ours isn't. Ours, they'll finally get done scanning packages for us to get packages around 8:15 to 8:30. So in the meantime, I'll be casing. I like to try to get my packages done as soon as possible because once you get to know the route, you can case it pretty quick once you know the loops because then you know where they are because you know the route. So finding it is easy because you know the route. So therefore, it's not a big deal. So I like to try to get the packages done as soon as possible. And then, because sometimes we don't get our mail until like 8:35. So you can't pull down until you get all the mail anyway. And sometimes our truck, our Amazon truck, is really super late. And I hear that the trucker stops for breakfast. I don't know why he can't just stop for breakfast after he does the delivery, but I guess he does that. And, I like to try to get out for 9 o'clock. Um, Hell, if the mail was ready and everything was ready for 7, I'd be out by 8. I like to be out as soon as possible, but I also like to make sure that my truck is in order first. So the sooner you get out, the better it is, mentally even. You're gonna be out there early, and you're gonna get done better. It feels better. It sucks. Sometimes you're gonna get into a situation where you're double casing because we have a small office. That was what I was talking about. I'm in a small office, so we have like 12 routes. And now I know all the routes, so I can operate all the routes. Some routes I'm faster than others. I know this. Some managers like they're all the same. They're all timed, and not true. I got a route done by 150 without running. The route that I'm doing now most of the time, which is Route 11, yeah, I got that done by 3, and that's fast. That route's a long route. There's no way. I mean, they're not all the same. They're different. They're different routes. I understand they try to time it all the same, but in practice and reality, I mean, it's not like I'm being lazy on one route and hardworking on another. I'm putting in the same effort, the same strategy for all the routes. I mean, some routes have better shortcuts. Some routes you can find nifty shortcuts. That's another thing. When you're on a route, the more you do the route, you'll discover shortcuts that you might not discover the first time you're on the route. That saves you time. And you're like, wow, I can cut right across here. Awesome. So then I don't have to do a 10-point turn and turn around and come back up because I can cut diagonally through this yard to go right over there because I know that I only have one delivery over there. And there's this route that's a short route. And everybody's like, yeah, it's a cupcake route, but it's a bunch of dead end streets. That's the reason why I don't like it. It's freaking dead end streets. It freaking sucks. Some routes have multiple loops off of one park point, and the park points are all on one street. I love those routes because I like to walk. I don't like driving around dismounting. Dismounts, I hate doing dismounts. I think it's faster to walk sometimes. because you're curbing, you're seat belting, and doing all those things. That's time consuming. Hopping in and out of a truck. So I do not like routes that force you to dismount. I like walking routes that just have a nice, especially the one there that everybody hates this route, but it's a single house with a single box. Those are awesome. You can just whoosh, walk, especially with a single bundle. I mean, it's awesome. So yeah, pretty much I can do all the routes now, which makes me feel good. At the beginning, I was worried because I was getting done around 6:30, fighting to get back, and I was worried about being able to get it done on time. And now, yeah, because you get to know the loops. Eventually, you'll know the loops, you'll know the route, and you'll get better, and you'll find your own way. I mean, Jesus, the freaking single bundle, man. I'm freaking. It's so much better. It's awesome, and it feels so much better. He's so much quicker fingering it. Of course, being ready for the mailbox by the time you get there, it's fast to finger the mail. It's really quick and easier, lighter on your feet, and it feels. It's freaking awesome, man. It's awesome. You're not running, and yet you're so much faster. So it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, those are tips that has made me better, faster, and then you enjoy the job better, organizing the truck. And on Amazon Sunday, we don't use Copilot in our office, and I've started to use Route for me, and it's a pretty good app. There's a little bit of bugs every once in a while, but I know the area. So I'm not using Route for me as for navigation because I know the area now. Basically, the Route for me, you can kind of like use the photo on the label, and it's pretty quick. It's actually quicker than scanners, and it confirms the address. So we'll do like 4 routes on a Sunday. So I don't do the whole. I will use Route for me per route. And then when it's giving me the manifest, a list of what it says that would be the best, basically it takes the longitudinal coordinates and makes the shortest distance and then draws the route for you on the map. So when you know the area, you don't need to use the navigation. And what I do to save battery is I'll have Route for me optimize the route and keep guard, because sometimes it'll have one address that's at the same address last, but it doesn't happen all the time. So what I'll do is I will see the list and I'll screenshot it, and then I'll close the Route for me app, and then I'll just use the screenshot pictures, because it'll list your number on the stop and the address. So now I can put it on airplane mode, and now I have the pictures that I can scroll through. So then I'm not burning my battery out on my phone running the app. And because then once it has the list and then the overlook, I just take the screenshot, and then you can save your battery, because compiling the optimizing the list for 6 routes last Sunday, which was 250 packages, it used 50% of my battery. So then I was like, well, geez, if it's going to constantly be using the internet, it's going to kill my battery. So then I was like, okay, just screenshot the list and then close the app and then put it on airplane mode. Therefore, you can save your battery. And I didn't run out of battery. I still had 30% at the end of the day. And so, yeah, I think that app is pretty good. And it does take some shortcuts that are really good. And it makes sense when you look at it. It's actually a pretty good app. It works. What I like to use it for, and I think what saved me the time, is I knew what I had in my truck because I took the picture and I confirmed. So I didn't have to wonder what I had in my truck. I knew what I had. So it freed up that mental time in my mind. And that saves time. Because if you're thinking about, like, Jesus, what do I have? I don't quite remember. And then if you miss an address and you're backtracking, you're losing time. So here you're freeing up all that time thinking about it because you have the list of what you have in the truck. So I think that's what it really helped save me some time. And and it really did pretty good. I was averaging at points 45 an hour throughout the whole day. Some routes are different. I was doing like 35 an hour. That's pretty good. So the app really has proved itself. It really has. It's good. And that's the way I save the battery. Because that optimizing, obviously it takes computing power, and my Samsung phone's pretty powerful, but yeah, it took 50%. But yeah, I'll load the truck per route. The last one out, first one in. And then I have my truck all loaded. And then I will optimize each route in the Route For Me app on Sundays and then use the screenshots. And it's pretty good. So it worked pretty good. No backtracking. I know what I have. So, and I think it'll be pretty good for when I'm working in an office I don't know. It's pretty quick at reading the labels. I'm impressed with how accurate it is. It will confirm the address it read on the label, and it's accurate. Pretty good. So you don't have to sit there and spend your time typing in the address. You can hover over the label, take a picture of the address, and it'll confirm. And it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick at reading it. So when it comes to loading a truck, I load the truck by street. So it's pretty fast. It's not really slowing you down. And when you load the truck by street, then you're not going to really have a hard time finding it because you have all the packages by street in the back of the truck. So it all works pretty good, and it'll make you faster, quicker. So don't worry. Once you know the route, you'll remember the loops. Then you'll remember where to go, and then you'll be faster the next time. When you're new, you don't know where you're going to be going, and therefore you're going to read the DPS to try to discover what the loops are. Some offices are better at giving you a route description. Some offices, like the one that I work at, don't give you a route description at all. And there are things that happen that by following the DPS you don't know. Like there's this one situation where you go down Folsom Avenue, and then you do a U-turn on Folsom Avenue, then you come back up, and then you hit Cleveland. Well, in your mind, when you're new, you're going to keep on thinking you're going to keep on going straight. So when you're following DPS, all of a sudden it goes from Folsom to Cleveland. Well, if you keep on going straight on Folsom, you're going to hit Gallup Street. So if there's no description, you don't know to do the U-turn at that point. You could get lost because you don't know to do the U-turn to go back up, from where you were going straight. And so in those situations, when you're not told about that and you're heading straight and there's no street sign on all of the corners, there isn't in North Adams. On a lot of the corners, they don't put both signs. So often you don't know what street you're on. You know what I mean? They don't put a street sign for all of the corners. So sometimes you don't know what street you're on when you're on it, because I don't know why they do that. It's maybe to save money. I don't know. So in that situation, you could lose track of where the loop is going. Sometimes you're on a street that parallels another street, Furnace and Francis. So you're following the DPS, and all of a sudden it says Francis when you're on Furnace. Well, Francis is down there. Little do you know, there's an entrance to the house that's between on the top that's on Furnace to deliver to 2 Francis streets that's actually on Furnace. And then you keep on going down into the next house, which is on Furnace. Then you take a left on Walnut, and then you take a left on Francis. So if you don't know the route, you might not know that. And that could throw you off as you're following the DPS, because all of a sudden it's changing streets. But you're going to deliver to that street on this street. So you're following the mail, and most of the time it works. But sometimes it can throw you off in those situations. So you're in an office that doesn't have a good route description. You can get lost. And yeah, so therefore some offices are good about that, where you park, what the loops are. But you learn that as you go along. So don't worry. Just be smooth. Smooth is better. When you're smooth, you're making less mistakes. And another thing, stride length. Try to keep your stride quick, but not too long. Take strides that are shorter. Therefore, you'll be better with your legs. If you're taking too long strides, you could start getting into like physical discomfort and stuff like that. So keep your strides normal, distant. That'll help with the ergonomics of the job. That'll help. Wear clothes that have less chafing, that will dry, that'll wick moisture, because your salt that's in your sweat. That's why cotton sucks, because cotton retains liquid, and if it dries, then you have the salt, and it acts like sandpaper. So yeah, if you wear the appropriate clothing, in the rain, a poncho. A poncho's light. Plus, you keep your satchel underneath the poncho. You have your mail underneath the poncho. Your mail's not getting ruined. It's light. It's light, and it covers and protects the mail. You don't have to worry about. I mean, it doesn't take long for the mail to get destroyed in regular rain. I mean, it's really quick. It's not like, I mean, literally 30 seconds in the rain and the mail's destroyed. So having a poncho over it really makes a big difference. Then you don't have to worry about the mail, the checks being destroyed. It's good. A poncho is really good. You can take it off and on, really easy. Because the raincoat's good, but sometimes some of the raincoats out there, they're too hot. So you maybe want to invest in a lightweight raincoat. You get them cheap at Walmart, the lightweight ones, or just wear a poncho. Ponchos are good. It's probably the best. And those ponchos you can get for like $20, $10, $20. I guess the post office sells a cape. It's probably pretty darn expensive. But a poncho is a poncho. It covers, and then you can button it up in a way that's loose, and you can have the mail right underneath the poncho. It's kind of how I discovered the single bundle, because I put the mail in a single bundle, have it underneath the poncho, and boom, easy. I can walk through the rain, and the mail's dry when it goes into the box. Feels good. So yeah, having a change of socks is good. Hell, as you buy new shoes, keep your old shoes and perhaps have them as a backup on a rainy day. and wear your old shoes once your new shoes get wet. If you don't want to wear rubbers, you can do that and keep your feet dry, because you're living on your feet. So keeping your feet dry is good, because you don't want to be walking around with blisters. So you want to be able to have footwear that fit you right too. That's important, because chafing is going to create blisters, and you don't be walking around there with blisters. And that's what I like about my Timberlands. I mean, they fit good and they last, and they're good. So yeah, bees. I watch out for the bees. For some reason, the bees just love the freaking mail truck. I already had a wasp in there. I don't know, man. The bees just really want to be inside the freaking mail truck for some reason. It's crazy. So yeah, but yeah. When it's warm out, it's not too hot yet. It feels good to be out there. It feels good to be walking around, especially with a single bundle. It's just like you're freer to walk around. When the bundle gets small enough, you just have it in your hand and you're walking around. I mean, it's good. Walking like this, you can walk in a regular motion, which I think is better for your body. When you walk in a regular motion rather than hunchback, you have a good posture. So yeah, then you're smoother. You get more confident and you get more accurate, and life gets better. Then you're less stressed by the track coach. You got a track coach as a manager. It's all about speed. It's funny sometimes about these track coaches. They come into the office. They don't know the area. Yet the very next day, they're talking to you about how slow you are. But you don't know the route. So how do you know? You know what I mean? The regular that's been on this route for over 20 years gets to this point by noon. Well, I was at that point at noon. So you should be able to use that as a benchmark. Someone that's been there for 4 months, rarely is on the route, is there near the same time as a regular that's been there working at the post office for over 30 years. Obviously, how you're coming up with the idea about how slow I am is from this program that you're looking at. Well, look at the regulars. The regulars that have been on the route for a decade, look at the times that they're at certain areas on the map. You can use that as good enough benchmark. That's the real application of knowing how good somebody is on the route. But I think they go by this program that does a prediction, and the thing is just not accurate, man. It's the same logic. Oh, all the routes are the same. They're not. They're not all the same. They're different terrain, different road. I mean, the routes that I'm really quick on are the ones that I can park in one spot and do multiple loops off of one park point. Those are quick because I like to carry as much as I can. If I can carry 4 loops at once, I will. And then I'll just bang out all 4 loops. I go back to the truck as least amount of times as possible. And I bang out as many loops as I can. And then what I couldn't carry, I'll hop. That's the way I do it. So that's the way I do it. And those are the routes that I'm fastest on. The ones that are on a main drag that have Route 2, crazy traffic because it's a major thoroughfare road going to New York. Because I'm right on the border of New York, right on the border of Vermont, up in upper northwest part of Massachusetts, up in Mount Greylock. The Appalachian Trail goes through there. So it's a hilly place, and there's Williams College up there, and all the people that are going to New York and Massachusetts are going to go through that route. So there's a lot of traffic, and it takes a long time to get onto the road, and you have to drive down it, and you're delivering mail along it. And if you have to cross it, you're going to wait a while to be able to safely cross that road because people fly down the road. And So it's different than being in a residential street where you can park and do multiple loops. It's different. Um, it's different. It's not the same. It's a different type of. I don't like those routes, but I'll do them. So it's different. You're going to spend more time on those type of routes because the loops that you're walking are not easy to read as on a neighborhood. In a neighborhood street where you can see the street, you can easily see that it's going to go up one side, down the other. But when you're on a major thoroughfare like that and the houses are up in the back, and believe it or not, you have 1077 Massachusetts Ave, which is Route 2. Right across is 1163. However, as you go down, you'll notice that, hey, the next house is 1101. The next house is 1129. The next house is 1139. And then the next one is 1159. And the start of that loop is 1163. So, wow, you could easily drive to 1159, but you would actually be at the end of the loop, not the beginning of it. So you have that kind of wacky shit along this road. We're on a residential, you're not going to have it like that. So that requires you getting to remember the area. Then you realize, oh, okay, 1163 is at the start, but that's because the house is up on a hill, on a terrace, and the beginning of the driveway happens to be before 1101. That's how 1163 is before 1101 on the mailbox. And that's why the loop starts there and ends down the way. And also there's a Doane's Road. Well, up further on Doane's Road is 1315 Mass Ave. The mailbox and the delivery is not off Mass Ave, but that 1315 Mass Ave, the entrance is up the road on Doane's Road. So if you're new to the area and you don't know the route, you're going to be looking for 1315 Mass Ave on Mass Ave. But it's actually going to be up on Doane's Road, and it's not marked well. So you got this wacky shit on this route. That you finally learn this after a few times being on the route and being lost and losing time because you're looking for these addresses. And so then you finally learn that and you get it. And it takes a while because you got non-linear type shit going on with these wacky routes right off a main drag with a lot of traffic. And so you get to know it, and then once you get to know it, you get to remember it. A residential, you have like houses that are split like every 5 or every 2. Okay, easy. Well, on this main drag, you're going to have 1077, 1101, 1129. You might have a difference of 100 between addresses. And then the distance might be 100 yards, 50 yards, 10 feet, 50 yards, 100 yards, even 300 yards. And the numbers aren't close. So it requires a different type of memory when you're delivering packages. And then you've got roads that are belonging to that street that go up like this and down and around, because it's a major thoroughfare. So, yeah, that makes it more difficult, more cumbersome. And when you're on a residential, you can just walk up the street, walk back down the other. So, different types of roads, but it's all just a matter of getting used to it. You'll remember it. And then once you do, it's okay. And then you don't have to worry about it. So, you just got to be patient. Grow some thick skin. Ignore what the manager is telling you if he's on your case about how slow you are. Just focus on being better for yourself. Don't worry about what the manager is telling you. And then you'll be okay. Then you don't have to worry. don't get distracted with the extra BS that can happen, because just worry about what you're doing, and everything will be all right, and you'll enjoy the job. It's not a terrible job. I'm driving 110 miles a day, and I'm working because I'm a CCA. So I'm often doing 2 weeks in a row, and it's prime time. So there's a lot of people using vacation time. So that means I'm doing a route and another half a route. And of course, you got to be back by 6 o'clock. So you're always racing against time, racing against the clock. So yeah, that can be stressful. So obviously, I'm pushing 6, sometimes getting back around 7. Depends on the route. Like there's some routes that I'm really fast on. If I'm doing a piece on that route, not a big deal. I know I can knock that out real quick. But then you have this one shitty route that's really a long one, a lot of driving, and you're like, oh man, I got to do a big piece on that. Crap. Because it's a lot. Some of these routes are really freaking long. I'll show you actually on Amazon Sunday. I'll show you the distance that one route has, which makes it not more difficult per se, but there's a lot of driving it. And there's distance in between each stop. So that's another reason why each route's different. When you're on a street that has really tight, when the houses are on top of one another, it's a lot quicker. Yeah, I like this Route for Me app. It really did good. As you can see here, it has the list of the stops. As you can see, this route is pretty spread out. See all these dots all the way up there, all the way over here, and all the way over there. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see with the light. But yeah, it's all over the place. Then I'll show you a different route. It's pretty close together. Oh man, damn it. Jesus. Frick. Okay, brightness. Where's the brightness? Alrighty, where's the brightness on this thing, man? Man, what the frick, dude? Fuck. All right. Dang it. I had it. I just can't find the brightness of this stupid phone. What the hell? Am I stupid or something? There we go. See? Pretty close together. Not bad. You're going to deliver a lot faster on this than you're going to deliver on that other one, because you're not driving a quarter of a mile between deliveries. That's simple. So, yeah, it's not bad. That app's pretty good. You can see a bird's eye view of all the dots where your delivery is going to be. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's a good app. I'm impressed by it. So it's pretty good tool. So that's about it for me. And thank you for the new subscribers. Yeah, pretty good. Feeling pretty good. I appreciate the people that have been on my channel. since the beginning. Ollie, you're pretty cool to read comments from you throughout. So, yeah, then 110 miles a day is, hopefully I get a transfer. But when I get a transfer, I guess it starts your probationary period over again. They, the OIC was officer in charge. It's like he's the postmaster, but he's not the postmaster. The postmaster's on a detail, like safety. I guess this person's a safety person now, but technically hasn't quit her job as the postmaster, but is doing safety. So then they replace her with a temporary that has the ability to do what she has. So they call that person the OIC, I guess. Um, it just happens to be long term. So pretty much they're the postmaster, but they're not really the postmaster, I guess. Um, he said that he would be really happy for me to get a transfer. So that's pretty good because there's a lot of different stories you hear. It's hard to get a transfer. So if you get hired at the post office, when they offer you a position, think where it is, do research, because like my shop is a small shop. There's PTFs, post part-time flex, which have the benefits, but they're not regulars. They don't own a route yet. So everything in the post office is about seniority. Pretty much, it's all about seniority. So when it comes to getting a route, it's seniority. So if you have a small office and you only have a couple people that might retire within a year and two, and you got 3 people that aren't regulars, and you got another CCA that is just turning PTF, and then you have 1 PTF over him, and you're new as a CCA, obviously, it might be a long time before you be able to get onto a route. So, and it's hard to get a transfer. And then I guess they have rules where you can bid on routes in other offices, but I guess then only 1 out of every 6 or something like that can happen that way. So it's not easy to just willy-nilly just like bid on routes in outside offices. So think before you accept the position. You can decline the position. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to find work. They probably will offer you another. It might take some time, but it's better to decline and wait for the office that's closer to where you live than to accept an offer where you're driving 110 miles a day and then hope you can get a transfer, because it's not so easy. I hear that both postmasters have to agree and then it can happen. So if your postmaster doesn't quite want to get rid of you, they might not be so openly honest about that to tell you, and they just might just not allow it. So if one or the other, even if another one says they take you, well, if your current postmaster doesn't want to get rid of you or says no, um, then I guess it's pretty impossible. Um, the HR said even to me, yeah, that's unreasonable mileage. That's not much they can do. You can quit and reapply, but that's risky. Who says that they would hire you back, right? Some say then you have to wait a year also, but then you lose your seniority. But if it's a year, what are you really losing anyways? You know what I mean? So it's not that big of a deal. It would be if you had 10 years in and you have to, then you lose your seniority for 10 years. You wouldn't really want to move then, right? So my advice to you is think before you accept, because it's not the easiest thing. It happens. I know someone personally that has transferred But it's not the easiest thing in the world. So think before you accept a position. Look at the office, how big it is, how many people work there. Because then if there's a lot of people that work there and there's a lot of work, then your seniority changes, right? So then you can probably get converted a lot quicker than being in a small kind of dead end shop, which has cool workers and you like your workers, but then where are you going to go? You know what I mean? So that's something to look at. You might want to go into a big office because then you can move in a big office. There's a lot of work. A lot of people quit. A lot of people get hired. You move up quicker. Your odds of getting on a route better. Being able to be on a hold down is better because everything's about seniority. So think about that because it's expensive for me. 110 miles a day is not cheap and it's expensive. And I'm getting back into the old credit card debt. And yeah, sometimes I should have declined the job and waited for another offer. And I think that would have been better. But I ended up in a good office, though. The office I'm working in is a good office. And it's a good office. You know, it's not all one or nothing. Or it's a good office. It's just driving 3 hours a day, going home and basically going to sleep. Yeah, it is what it is. So that's my advice to you when accepting the job. Don't be afraid to turn down the position because they'll offer you another. And then just accept one that has reasonable distance. Because when they offer you a temporary, your conditional terms, that might not be the office you get sent to. They have the right to put you anywhere in around that area, and they might place you 55 miles away. So, so therefore, that you expect to be able to be placed anywhere, but you don't really expect 55 miles because that's kind of crazy. It's not really sustainable. So yeah, you got to think about that. That's kind of crazy how someone in Boston thought that 55 miles is a reasonable distance to go to work. I mean, so think about it. Don't be afraid to turn it down and be patient to wait for a response because we're working 2 weeks in a row, sometimes 3 weeks in a row because the way that they design the workforce, I think the union is that kind of at blame. Is where the way it is. People use their time, and when they use their time, then you got what you call open routes that don't have a person on there. So they call it an open route. And when that happens, you're going to be doing your route, and then you're going to have to pick up a piece of that route, and it has to go out. So when their workforce is tight, yeah. I'm gonna see you guys later, and thank you guys. Thank you. Yellow.